Laying down my edges. Okay, let me put you guys up. Okay. What's up, ladies? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Diana, creator of Money Boss Mama, and really quickly before my kids come home from school, I just decided to pop on the camera and just have a little girl chat, a little discussion. It's not really a girl chat, I guess, but recently I hit my 2-year debt-free anniversary, and so I don't think that I've ever done a video where I really just talk to you guys about the lessons or the realizations that I have come to after debt freedom. So that's what I want to do today. Really, today's been kind of like a day. The sun is just now coming out. So I like to get dressed. You guys know I wear the same things over and over again. But just, I've learned that just getting up and like doing my eyebrows, maybe pushing my hair back and just putting on a little bit of makeup often makes me feel a lot better. So edges are laid and I'm gonna go ahead and do my basic ass makeup while I talk to you all. A disclaimer, I don't know what I'm doing, and yeah, so I'm not gonna be talking about that. I'm just gonna go straight into what I have learned and I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is the fact that just because you're debt free doesn't mean that now you automatically have all of this money. And now that was something that I assumed would happen, like, oh, I'm gonna have so much money because I'm not paying lenders or anything. But as I started knocking out debt balances, I quickly realized that now I just had the ability to take care of other financial obligations that were kind of put on the back burner a lot better. And with me, since I am a single parent, I am financially responsible for my children. I take care of them on my own financially, or at least that's just how it's been since birth with both of them right now. That may change in the future, but child, who knows. But the way that I've always handled, you know, any type of financial elevation, it's always had to be, okay, now that this is done, this is out of the way, I have to roll over this money to this next thing and just make the best out of it that way. So now that I'm debt free, the payments that I was using that were going towards debt just went towards savings, and then now it's just going to investing. So I think a lot of people think that I have all of this money, you know, making all of this money from like Instagram and maybe YouTube as well. But sis, no, because if you have children, then you know things pop up. The older my kids get, the more expensive and the more expensive they are. And so a lot of the times, I'm very blessed, I will say that. A lot of the times when I get some type of financial payment or increase, it's just enough to cover this new expense. But that does allow me to keep my investments and everything the same. So even though I have a pretty dang good emergency fund and everything, I still, when it comes to my personal funds that I can actually use for like non-necessities, I don't really have a lot. I have about the same amount of money to use that I did when I was in debt, because all I could really do was roll it over to investments or whatever goal I was working on at the time. And even still, I still feel behind. That's perfectly normal, and I don't beat myself up about it anymore, because I know that I'm doing the best I can. We're not all telling the same story. We're not all in the race. We weren't all placed in the same position on the track. Some of us started ahead, some of us were very behind, and so that's going to affect, you know, the pace. So if you are someone that feels like, damn, I'm behind, you know, I'm not able to make these big payments, or my savings, I just have like $500 in savings, then you're doing it. You're still doing it. You have to get into the habit of being like, okay, but I'm still doing it. I'm still going to make a way. It's just going to have to be at your own pace. And that's just something you're going to have to come to terms with and accept. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to self-sabotage. And how are you going to get to your main goal if you're the one person that's talking shit about yourself, you know? So there's that. Second thing that I learned, which was really crazy, was that when you are on a debt-free journey, especially one that's not quick, like I know the headlines are really, you know, they like to blast the super sexy headlines that are going to get readers. And so a lot of times people who pay off debt super fast, like, you know, 20, 30,000 in 18 months, or, you know, 50,000 in 24 months, those are always going to be headlines. Okay. But for the most part, regular people, it's going to take them a long time, especially if you are a single parent. And so I learned that if you're on a long debt-free journey, when you become debt-free, it's not going to feel as amazing as you thought it would. I can only speak from my experience, but I am coming from the perspective of a single mom. It's been 4 years, low to moderate income during her journey, and I had kind of made the journey my life. It was my identity. It literally took over my life. And so a lot of people like to ask me, how did I feel when I became debt-free? And they expect this cookie cutter answer. I can kind of tell that they expect this cookie cutter answer, like, oh, it was amazing, da-da-da, because they're always like, oh, it must have felt great, and what did you do to celebrate? First of all, I became debt-free during the height of the pandemic in 2020, and I didn't feel anything. And I've made it a point to be completely honest. I always make it a point to be transparent in my content so people don't feel so alone. So people don't feel that they're doing this thing wrong. No, it's just that a lot of people, you know, there are certain parts to their story and reality that they don't want to talk about. But I find that it's important because I was that person thinking that I was the only oddball out when it came to certain things. So I always make it a point to be like, I didn't feel nothing. It felt like a regular day. I literally had to force myself. A lot of you may have come from that video where I talked about I was debt free. I remember my payment had just posted or whatever, and I got my camera out and I made a video, and I teared up a little bit just thinking of the Instagram community. But as far as what I had done, it had not set in yet, because this was my life. This was my identity for 4 years. Sometimes it felt like I would never get to that point. And then when I paid it off, my brain was just like, okay, this is what we're used to doing. It's just a regular day. And so all that to say, it may take a little bit of time for it to hit you. It may take a little bit of time for you to realize the magnitude of what you have done, which brings me to the third lesson that I learned, which was, what was the third lesson? Oh yeah. You may not know what the hell you want to do after you pay off debt. And that sounds weird because, you know, sometimes a lot of us, we want to pay off debt because we have these goals that we want to hit, and we just feel like our debt payments are just too big of a liability to go after those things. So I thought that I knew exactly what it was that, you know, I was going to do when I paid off debt. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then when I paid off my debt, I was kind of lost. And I was lost for about 1.5 years. It took 1.5 years for me to fully realize what I had done. I still don't even feel like I fully realized it. But it took 1.5 years for me to accept that I was done with that part of my life, that season of my life. And now I have to figure out what else to do. And I find that since the pandemic, the culture has kind of shifted to, oh, you hit this big goal, what comes next? That big goal, what comes next? And we don't give ourselves enough time to really pause and take in what we've done. So it feels like, you know, we're always chasing more, but more is never fulfilling. And that was me. So I felt like I had to have this big goal afterwards, but I just didn't have the energy or the motivation to continue on, and you're kind of lost. You're trying to figure out what life is going to look like for you now, and you're a completely different person coming out of your debt-free journey. Like, especially if it's a long journey, you come out of it a completely different person, and we are not always going to stay the same. Anything that doesn't grow is pretty much dead. And so you're growing through the journey. So you have to leave space for things to change as you're paying off debt. I was very married to my goals. And so when I realized I didn't have the motivation to go after those goals, I felt very lost, very burnt out, and like, okay, you know, what the hell am I going to do now? What was the point of me even going into this journey if this is not what I want to do? So I will say it's very important to realize that you're going to grow, you're going to evolve, and the person that you come out as is not going to be the person you went in as. Because you're going to change, your interests are going to change, your habits are going to change, especially your spending habits and just how you view your finances in general. And so you have to meet yourself where you are right then in that point in time, which is very different from, oh my gosh, who you started as. Because the goals that you set, the goals that you have right now while you're in debt, it's based on the person that you are right now. So you literally don't know how you're going to be when you come out of it. So just give yourself some grace and some time. But you guys might have remembered I said that I would, child, let me tell you something. Now that I'm on that subject, I went that's a bad thing about documenting your financial goals and just what you're doing in general, is because when life changes or you have to allow yourself to change and pivot, you're gonna look crazy as hell. So you guys might have remembered I said, oh, I'm gonna get a duplex, da 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 da, and then I'm like, oh no, because the world went crazy, I'm just going to live downtown. I did a whole dramatic ass video on that. And then the world got even crazier, and now I'm actually starting the process of looking for my duplex, my rental property, to house hack for about a year. And a lot of people were kind of like, where did this come from? But honestly, after being on a financial journey for like 6+ years, I just got really good at allowing myself to move through the seasons. If something isn't right for me, then I am going to make adjustments, and I'm not going to ask for anyone's permission about it. I'm just going to adjust. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been doing trial and error, testing things out as this new debt-free Diana. And I will say, being fearless as well is a huge part of it. But as I'm going through life and I'm navigating this kind of new reality, I'm realizing little by little the impact that being debt-free and my debt-free journey has had on my life. And that's helping me to come to terms with what I've actually done. And it doesn't feel so futile, if that's the word, if I've even said that correctly. I try to be smart, y'all, but I really just butcher these words all the time. But yeah, so I am done. This is my makeup look. I probably look the freaking same as I did when I came on here. Let me see if turning this way. Nope. This is the look. Very basic. This Diana, like the 18-year-old Diana, would scream at this 30-year-old Diana right now because it's giving basic bitch vibes. But that is who I am now. That is my new reality, and I am accepting of it. If you like this video and these types of videos, give me a thumbs up. Leave down in the comments any realizations that you have come to just about anything. You don't have to be debt free, just your financial journey in general. And I will catch you guys in the next one.